Welcome to Real Estate Done Right. It's your favorite podcast for realtors by realtors. I'm Jen.
And I'm Annalie. And for a combined 30 years, we've been working in this industry, just trying to figure it out. And by figuring it out,
we mean we read affirmations out loud to ourselves about how this is our season of expansion while secretly Googling backup bartending jobs.
Oh, wow. Does that not resonate?
You like that?
Yeah.
This is my season of expansion.
Yeah. I mean, literally 3 minutes ago, I was like, I still am not sure I'm ever going to have another client every 2 weeks.
You are. You know you are.
Just kidding. I have clients right now. Love it.
So I'm going to say that affirmation. I'm not looking up backup bartender jobs though right now.
No, but you were a month ago.
Not bartender jobs, but yeah,
jobs.
no, I was.
Yeah.
I applied.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I told you about the one that I applied to.
Yeah.
Matchmaker Maria's,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which would have been a super fun job. Didn't hear back, not surprisingly. Also, things are opening up in real estate, so that's good.
Yeah. You wouldn't want it.
No, I wouldn't actually.
Okay.
So let's talk. This week we are talking about, it's kind of, again, like a mix of just casual checking in, talking about what's happening in the industry in our lives, but also because the market is softening in the Twin Cities here, there's more of a need for better and more consistent communication with clients. And you brought that up to me. So we're going to talk about that today, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would call this, I call it literally my market and marketing update. And I'm going to go through my plan that I go through with this is for sellers specifically. And really what we're talking about is when your home does not sell in the first weekend, how do you keep communicating with sellers to let them know what is going on, why it's happening, what are consumers saying, and then do we need to look at a pricing or positioning change? So I'm going to go through how I do that.
Okay, great.
And then we're going to talk about how you do it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm about to do.
Yeah. You have listings.
Yay!
You have listings now. And then we'll, I'm going to also say at the end, I'm going to re-say this, that if you're doing something that you think we should know about, share it with us.
Shout it out from the rooftops into our emails.
I want to do better from rooftop to email.
Yes.
As all communication goes.
Yeah. You stand and you shout it first.
It comes right into Gmail.
When you yell loud enough from the top of your roof.
Oh,
that's what happens.
The Googles can hear it.
Yeah, the jujus.
Okay.
Okay.
So I set this up at the time of signing. Typically, when I'm talking about like how is this going to go, what's going to look like when we have showings, what's it going to look like if we get multiple offers, what's going to look like if we don't get multiple offers, what's going to look like if we're on the market. And I usually set up, if we go to market, most sellers typically tend to go to market on like a Thursday or Friday. Not all, many. If that's the case, they are not going to get this the first Monday when we've been on the market for like 3 or 4 days. They're going to get it this second Monday. Yep. So I'm looking at like 10 days out.
Okay. I'm pausing you. I think that we cannot overstate the importance of expectation setting. And so the fact that it's done in an appointment on the very front end, that I feel like it's one thing that I don't know that I overstress on this myself, but I'm like, I hate the feeling of a client asking me a question that I already knew they were going to ask me that, already knew that this was a part of the process. I don't like feeling on my heels in the process at any point. I want to be one step ahead of them the whole time.
Yeah.
And I think that feels really good. I'm sure you get that feedback too. The clients are like, oh my gosh, you're so on top of it. Thank you for thinking of that. And then for them to not have to come to you with questions unless it's basically a reminder, that's in an ideal world. Obviously, that doesn't happen all the time. But
yeah, sometimes, especially I will say in these really fast sellers markets, there are times where I've gotten really lax on my communication and people are like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, everything's taken care of.
It's moving
You're
so
not
fast.
going to hear from me.
Yeah.
Virtually at all because everything is done or everything is just, it was a super simple offer.
There was no
or whatever.
inspection and it was a cash offer and we're like ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. So but I agree when people are like, hey, what's the appraisal? I'm like, did I not talk to you about this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bad on me.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
It
this is a
happens
good
to
opportunity
everybody.
right now as the market is softening up. If clients are not moving at lightning speed,
Yeah.
we have a need to be more communicative.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
So again, I'm setting that up. So their expectation is I usually, that first weekend, they're super excited. I'm trying to reach out to them. This is going to sound crazy, but sometimes like 5 to 10 times a day that first weekend.
Like texting.
Mostly texting.
Yeah.
I'm shooting them. Like I always set up a group text with whoever the decision makers are and myself. If it's a co-listing with somebody on my
Oh,
team.
geez. I'm so sorry, guys.
Oh, is this your first day?
No, it's not. But it is my daughter calling me right now. Let me silence this. Okay, keep going. I'm just going to text her and let her know that we're recording right now. Okay. This is real life, guys.
So yeah, I'm over communicating those first few days. I'm also trying to like really push agents that first weekend to give me feedback as quickly as possible. I might text them right after and say, hey, I've excited sellers. Is there any question I can answer? So I can bring them any little bit of anything because they are excited and they're stressed and they want that. So I'm trying to find things to talk to them about those first 3 or 4 days, first weekend in the market. After that, I explained to them, the first week, it's going to slow down. We've got all the buyers in the buyer pool. They all got emailed your listing when it first came on the market. All of the really interested ones came immediately, or some of them are going to come next weekend because they might have been out of town. It's summer. People are traveling and doing their things. We might get a few this week. After about 10 days on the market, everybody that is in that buyer pool, your full pool of buyers right now, they've already seen their property. Anybody that's interested. So after that, we're waiting for new people to join. It's going to be quiet and it's going to probably be a trickle because we're waiting for new people to get pre-approved, new people to find out they're relocating, new people to find out they're getting divorced, whatever your buyer pool is doing to get additions. Does that all make sense?
Yep,
so
it does.
I'm kind of setting them up for that as well, that these first 10 days is going to be kind of the most important. Okay, so I emailed this. It's kind of a report. Some people are going to hear this and they're going to be like, you send all of this to your clients. It's virtually everything I went through to price their home in our listing appointment. And then also all of the back-end data that I can possibly see that makes sense to share with them.
Yep.
And I'm sending that weekly. And the first week, I call it my baseline report. So I'm just saying like, here is everything I'm going to send you weekly, and this is why. So it's a lot of explanation of what it is. And then week over week, if we're in the market for multiple weeks, which like right now I have condos that have been on for weeks.
Yeah.
So they're getting, and sometimes honestly, those markets, they don't get it every week.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing happening.
Yeah.
So it might be once a month that they get this report, and then I let them know when there's showings and whatever. But a traditional listing that's got decent activity, they're getting this every week, and week over week, I'm taking those baseline numbers and I'm saying, here's this week's numbers, and then in parentheses versus, up 6 from last week at whatever. And I'll kind of explain that a little bit more. So mine's via email. And then at the bottom, it's got my thoughts and an invitation to call, text, or email me to set up a time to make any decisions that need to be made. Or sometimes I just say, I think we need a little more time. Yeah. Based on what I'm seeing, I wouldn't do anything for another week.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have sellers. I just had a seller call me and he was like, when should we start talking price reduction? This is very specific property. And I said, I would not touch it for 30 days. We just need some time. This is not a home in a development in a suburb.
Yeah.
This is a specific home. Your buyer might just not be in the buyer pool right now. And they might not be for 9 months, honestly. But I would wait 30 days. We need a little bit more exposure and baseline. So
that's great.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're going to get right into it. Okay. So the very first thing that I send in my report, I tell them why I'm sending it to them, blah, blah, blah. And then the first thing I said is, I send is homes that have gone pending. So under contract, but I go pending. So out of any contingency periods since we've hit the market. So I just go back, if I'm sending this on day 10, I go back pendings from the last 10 days, 0 minus 10. And I'm looking in the same neighborhood that I probably looked for like appraisal range, maybe a little further, maybe more my active look at the market analysis. I want to see what buyers chose over them.
Yeah.
And that's literally what I'm saying.
Yep.
We are looking at what did buyers choose, and then we're going to look at them and say why.
Yeah.
Was it price? Was it condition?
Yep.
Why was it location was slightly better? Why did 4 homes go under contract and yours wasn't one of them? And I'm pretty bluntly honest about this. And sometimes, like, I'm looking at an email as an example, so I don't forget to talk about things. And for instance, I had a very specific property. It was very small compared to everything in the market. We were overpriced as far as price per square foot went, but it was updated to the nth degree. You couldn't take another house and make it this and not be over where we were. I mean, they were losing money on the updates that they had done. They just overdid this home. And so these were a little bit, I had to explain, well, buyers are choosing these bigger homes. And that's just going to be we're just going to have to find the right buyer that's going to want to see the value in what you saw the value in, which is all these updates that you put into the home. So I kind of am massaging all of those little things that are specific.
I think that's so important.
Every week.
Yeah, because I feel like it's easy to, and I've seen this in Facebook groups and forums, and people are like, okay, how many showings, how many days before you reduce the price? And it's like, hold up. You cannot just put a slap of black and white rule on if you've had 10 showings and no offers, or if because if you have a unique, now again, if it's cookie cutter and everything else looks the same and is priced differently, and it's the one variable you can extract and say, we're priced 10% over everything else, okay, fine.
Right.
But like in a unique scenario like this, I think that's so important because it's easy maybe for some agents or for all of us. I can just lump us all into the same category to
throw us all in
throw us all in there. But yeah, just to be like, well, let's just make it easier and make a rule. And then we'll tell our sellers that if we don't get this by this date or this many showings, we're just going to reduce the price by X%. And it's like, that is not what I would do. And it's not nuanced. It's not the market. And just to like slap a percentage, I hear people, you got to reduce it by 5 to 10%. And it's like, do you? Maybe you're just priced in the wrong bracket. Maybe you priced it in a weird bracket to begin with. And
so I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end, because I do touch on kind of why I think our buyers stalling out. And what I mean by stalling out is somewhere in the activity from getting the email from an agent to writing an offer. Are they stopping? And are they all stopping in the same place? Or are we seeing a couple move a little bit further? Like, who's stopping where? And that's kind of what I'm trying to look for in this whole email is who's stopping where and how many and why. And it's going to come down to price, but that will help me guide them on how much we need to reduce as well, statistically.
Yeah.
Now, again, if it's a super unique property, we might be holding for much longer because it might not be a matter of the buyer pool behaving. It might be there's no one in your buyer pool today that matches this property. Yeah. So you have to be
unless they're like
nuanced.
we have to sell, we're relocating, we can't, then it's just like, okay, now it's a matter of at what price will some buyer buy that happens to be in your pool.
Right.
Yeah.
And then what are you willing to leave on the table?
Yeah.
I've got a couple of those right now.
Yeah.
As well. So, okay. So we start with pendings. The first report, there might not be any. Right? Because nothing might have switched to pending status in the first week that you've been on the market, depending on the market activity. The second thing I look at is active competition. So I'm consistently putting active competition in front of them. Again, if you listen to any of my listing classes, I'm starting to do that between first listing appointment and going to market.
Yeah.
We are watching the competition like a hawk. And if they're watching that competition, they're knowing what's selling fast and what's not.
Just putting like an auto search, like an auto email setup, it's not that complicated, but just to be like, you're going to see real time everything I'm seeing. We're getting email notifications. Yeah.
Yeah. And pre-listing, I set that up for every Monday. So just like they're getting this report from me every Monday, they're seeing that active competition before we go in the market as well. I pause that automatically from going out because I want a little more control. Sure. And I want to control the narrative a little bit.
Yeah.
And so and I don't want it to get overwhelming. They're looking at it.
Yeah.
They're on Zillow. They're on places. Yeah. Now that data isn't as up to the second. They can't see necessarily contingencies and things like that. So active competition, when I'm sending that list out, I am then saying, here's some notes. Here's what I'm seeing when I look at this list. So for instance, again, I'm going to use this property that was smaller than everything else and over improved. It did sell for the price that we had it at.
Great.
It just took a little time.
Yeah.
In that case, I'm looking at size and I'm looking at price per square foot. And I'm just saying, yeah, we stand out like a sore thumb. We know that. That's fine. Now, what are all these other buyers choosing? And did we even have a chance with any of these buyers is kind of really what I'm looking at. When things move to pending also, I'm checking to see because we can then see the agent, their name. Did they show the property?
Yeah.
And if they did, okay, we were in the running enough for, again, that in that buyer activity chain of activities that have to happen, they came, they stopped at coming. So I'm watching that as well and kind of digging a little. I'm like trying to go a little below the surface. If I'm seeing a ton of new properties coming on week after week after week, I'm going to be more aggressive about getting our price down. If they're competitively priced. If there's a bunch of properties that are very similar that are coming on lower than us, obviously I'm going to start pointing that out quickly and just say, I'm concerned about this. I'm concerned about, anything I'm concerned about, anything that I think might be helpful, I'm noting here. I'm just trying to see. Yeah. I'm also pointing out the homes that are in contingency periods because that's on this active list. That's where that's going to show up. And so I'm saying, we were in competition with 22 homes. Only 2 of them pulled contracts. So don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Because 20 of them didn't. And you were one of the 20. So 1 out of 10 homes pulled a contract this weekend, or 1 out of 11 homes. And I'm kind of putting that into perspective as well. Your buyer pool might just not be that robust or might not be that active right now. And that could be because of interest rates. That could be because of a holiday. That could be all kinds of things. So let's give it another week maybe before we get too concerned about anything.
That's great.
I think that's all.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, the level of detail that you're going to parse through, I mean, it's so interesting. Like right now I'm on the front end of taking listings and I'm cold prospecting clients. And yesterday I got the question like, so what does make you different? And it's really hard to answer that in 20 seconds on a phone call.
Yeah.
Because to just try to explain this to them without losing them is just virtually impossible, which is why you say that's exactly why we need to sit down and meet.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like I cannot tell you over the phone. You just gotta have to trust me. I am different.
Yeah.
I promise. But this is the kind of thing that I think, especially like if I'm working with for sale by owners and it's like, well, how hard can it be? I can do photos. I can get it on the MLS for $200. I can get the same exposure you can. Why do I need an agent? And this is one of the many examples to me that's like, it's not that simple.
Yeah.
And if it's not selling at the price that you want to sell it at, why? And what do you do about it? And why do you make those decisions? And I think this is great. This level of detail for some people is probably overwhelming, but it also is like so empowering.
Well, yeah. And honestly, those are my goals.
Yeah.
Just like my listing appointment.
Yeah.
I'm coming in with more information than 90% of people want.
Yep.
And I want them to have all of that so that they are empowered no matter what level they needed. They have whatever they need to be empowered to make the right decisions for them. Because again, this is why that like one size fits all price adjustment doesn't make sense because what's your goal?
Yeah.
If your goal is to get your home sold as quickly as possible, well, then we'll price it at $0 and we'll do an auction. It'll be sold tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to sell for, right?
Yeah.
But like, what is the actual goal? And then how am I there to facilitate getting you there? And again, empowering you to make the best decisions. So it goes back to all of that.
Super.
The third thing I do is just a showing report from Showing Time. We use Showing Time in Minnesota. So that's just a listing showing report. It depends on the listing. If they're getting a ton of showings, I'll actually just do the PDF of the listing showing report and attach it and just say full report attached.
Yeah.
And then I just break down in my verbiage, we've had this many showings. Of those, this many people called me. Here's the feedback that they gave. I usually will screenshot all the feedback. And if there's a consistent through line of feedback that I think we need to address, then I'll point that out.
Yep.
Okay, it looks like 7 out of the 8 people who have given us feedback mentioned the bright yellow kitchen.
Yeah.
We might want to take a day and paint the bright yellow kitchen, or we might want to get my painter out there. That feels like it is And what they're saying is, at this price, we don't want to take care of the bright yellow kitchen.
Yeah.
And so we either need to account for it in price, and are they gonna discount more than the $1,500 that
1,000% they will.
we're gonna hire a painter to take care of it?
Yeah.
So which way do you want to go, right? So then we have to start having those conversations. And that's especially with a seller who, like, I said, I think we should paint the kitchen, and they said, I don't want to. We'll just figure it out. Okay. So now if it's coming up again, now it's not me saying it either.
Yeah.
Now the buyer pool is telling us.
Yeah.
The buyers have spoken. I say it all the time. Well, the buyers have spoken.
Yeah.
House isn't worth what we thought it was. Or the buyers have spoken. The yellow kitchen is a bigger deal than we hoped.
Yeah.
We got to figure it out. And are we going to adjust price, or are we going to adjust presentation, which is painting? So feedback. Then I go into online stats. I don't think a lot of agents do this, and I only say that because I've taught a bunch of classes and people were like, we didn't know that existed. So this is one of my favorite things. There are some benchmarks I'll share that in Minnesota worked for like 9 years running, where if we got to a certain benchmark of numbers, I knew I was going to have an offer within a few days.
Sure.
That all went out the window last August, right before the election, and has not come back. I think the economic instability is just all over the place. I actually show my clients this Backend also at that final appointment. We've signed. We're talking about what to expect. Sometimes I do it at the first appointment. I'll show them kind of what we can see, because I explain to them, we're trying to predict future consumer behavior. Once we're online, this is all the things that I can see and I can share you. And actually, this would be great stuff to share with FSBOs. To say, are you able to look at this? The answer is no.
Yeah.
There's no way for them to know what the back end of buyers are doing. And that's the most important thing. It's our little insight into what's actually happening here. And do we need to adjust
time.
because of it? And it's real. So I start with Zillow. I use Zillow because it's a highly used website by consumers. What I like about Zillow is that it shows you views and saves. How many people have the Zillow app and they are excited about a house and they look at it 7 times a day, right? That's going to get your views to keep going up. So week over week on Zillow, I'm looking for increased views. That doesn't mean because I'm looking for more buyers to be in your buyer pool. I want to know, are there buyers out there that can't help but look at your house at least once a day? That's an excited buyer pool.
Yep.
If we're not exciting our buyer pool, those are going to go down over time because no one's coming back. It's just the random people that are coming. And so, and I explain that. So I explain why I'm looking at Zillow. Zillow also does a really nice chart where it shows days of the week and when people are looking at it. So if we did a price adjustment on a Tuesday, I expect a big spike in viewers because it's getting pushed back out to them.
And you just have access to this on the back end because you're the listing agent, or does he?
It's actually through the consumer portal. They can see it as well.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't know that.
So I screenshot just the little chart. You can see a chart you can do it for the last week or the last 30 days. I do the last week, and then next week. So if this is my first week where I'm showing them, and again, I'm explaining what I'm looking at here. You have 34 saves. You've had 571 views. I'm explaining. So we had a huge spike in views right when you hit the market, and then it dropped off pretty aggressively. I'm not too worried about that in the first week. Next week, I want to see that climbing. I want buyers to be excited. I want them to be showing their coworkers and their friends. I want those views back up because you're getting return viewers.
Yeah.
This is just initial viewers, so I'm not too worried about that. So the following week, I will do this screenshot second and the new screenshot first. Then I'll explain. The screenshot on the left is this week versus last week. How did we compare? What happened? Are there any trends? Are we up? Are we down? Where's it going? So I'm consistently putting 2 weeks and moving forward. I'm also watching this versus my other listings. So my Monday is, and these reports do not take zero time. They probably take me about an hour each.
Sure, yeah.
But I think that's an incredibly important thing to do because I want to be that immersed in their market. If you're not, how are you best serving your client, right? I'm also doing these all in one day. Sometimes if I'm really listing heavy, I'll do them Mondays and Tuesdays because it's just too much admin and I've got other things that I have to do as well. I do not pass this off ever to an admin person because again, if someone else is pulling all the numbers, I'm not looking through and really getting it.
Yeah.
Like I want to get it. I want to know. I want the picture of what's going on to be able to communicate to my client. So I'm comparing not only their numbers to themselves or week over week, but I'm comparing it to all of my other listings. And so if I've got 6 listings in South Minneapolis, I can say, hey, your numbers are down. I'm seeing that across all of my South Minneapolis listings right now. I'm not worried about it. Or none of my other listings have that. All of my other listings numbers are triple yours. I'm concerned. We've got a problem.
Yep.
Is it pricing? Is it presentation? Is it a fluke? Is there road construction in your neighborhood where people are just like, we're not even going to go look at that right now? You know, like what could it be? And then I have to chase that down and we have to brainstorm. We have to try to figure out why consumers are treating you differently. So, good. So Zillow.
That's great.
Okay. The next thing is, and this is the thing that I don't think agents put enough time and energy into or know that it's there, is the back end of the MLS. Okay, so in our MLS, and I can only speak for ours, although I think a lot of them use the same platform nationwide. Under my matrix, you've got my listings, and under my listings, you've got my hit counters. Okay, when your listings go into coming soon or active, you can start seeing how many consumers are in your client portal. And what I mean by that is who has searches set up where your property is going to go into their search. That's going to get emailed to that buyer, right? So I'm watching that number. So I sit and I show this list right to my clients before I ever talk about it in this email. But I'll show them my list right now. I have my top listing has 443 clients in the portal. That is very low, by the way. 1,200 would be like a nice normal buyer pool. Condo. I have condos and big high-end properties right now, and that's it.
I have like the ends of the spectrum.
Everything in the middle sold fast, is selling fast. And so the things that I have that are a little bit tricky are high-end specific or low-end condo. So I would, if I had a condo seller, for instance, I would be showing them all the condo numbers and say, okay, well, on the high end of my condos right now, I've got 443 people in the buyer pool. And on the low end, I've got 37. No, 158. Sorry, I lied. That's very different numbers. It's looking at a different thing. So, that's a quarter. So there's a big swing there. Once we are in coming soon or active on the market, we're going to be able to see where you land in that. And we're going to be able to start also setting expectations. If you have 1,200 and you're a condo, you're killing all of these as far as your buyer pool goes.
Yep.
So why is that, right? If you're under 158, I know how 158 is behaving. I know what traffic we're getting. Small buyer pool, we're going to have to set different expectations.
And so if there's an agent listening right
now
now and they don't have listings like you do, it seems kind of basic, but this is another thing. It's like, hey, don't let that stop you from reaching out to some agents in your office and just who do you think might be willing to let you see the back end of their listing portal?
Yeah. Literally have done that before a listing appointment.
Yeah.
Especially a tricky one.
Yeah.
Where I can say, hey, this is the closest thing I can find. I've called agents not in my office.
Yeah.
And I've said, would you be willing to share your hit counters numbers with me? I'm just really curious because I have a property coming up in that area or whatever. Some will never return my call.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, but you're trying.
But I'm trying. And it's a nice little insight into
for sure
what's going on in the market. Okay. So you can see how many people are in the buyer pool, client portals. You can see how many of those people have opened their emails, how many looked at the property. So that's not just, do you have a big buyer pool, but are they active? Yep. How many of these people are agents who have 3,700 searches set up to ping themselves, and they're only looking at a few because that's the only ones that matter right now. So I explained that to them, like, I set these up for you when you were a seller.
Yeah.
So not all of these are real buyers. Who's looking at them consistently and what percentage? And then again, there's usually a percentage that's like a really nice normal. If you have a smaller percentage, you have a sleepy buyer pool, and we have to be prepared for that. If you have a really robust buyer pool, okay, giddy up, let's go. So we talk about that. And then favorites. How many consumers have marked you as a favorite that's hearting you for their agent or their spouse or whoever to see? This is the one that it used to be that when you hit 10 to 12 favorites, it was somewhere right around 10 offer.
Yeah.
Every single time. And so I would hammer on them. Well, we're stuck at 5.
Yeah.
We need we need something to change because we are not going to get an offer until we're closer to 10. And it was very simple. Again, that went out the window a little bit. I just had a property that, it had 22 favorites. It got multiple offers. I had another one that had 3 favorites. It got 1 full price offer.
Yeah.
Both in 3 days on the market. So it's kind of gone all willy-nilly. I'm still watching it very closely. And now I'm just telling sellers, the more the better.
Yeah.
We need as many as possible to help get us to that offer position. So these numbers I'm explaining and I'm putting into a section of this report. And then, like I said, week over week, I'm sharing where are we this week and where was it last week. So are we gaining buyers in our buyer pool? If 8 homes went under contract last week, did we lose 6 buyers out of that buyer pool where they don't have their searches going anymore? That means no one new came in.
Yeah.
You get a real sleepy buyer pool, right?
Yeah.
And so now we have to talk about that. You don't have new buyers entering your buyer pool. We're going to have to get aggressive. We're going to have to get in front of a new buyer pool through pricing.
Yeah.
Yours is not moving.
Yeah.
Or not enough to get you the buyer you want. So I'm always looking back at the previous week and are we going in the right direction, which is always up. We want to be increasing buyer pool. We want to be increasing favorites. We want to be increasing opens, all of those things. And then I do a big section on marketing efforts. So what are we doing to get more exposure? This is where I cover open houses, how many people came through, what was the feedback. I'm also texting them that immediately after the open house. So they already have it, but I'm recapping it here. Did we do any paid social media ad campaigns? Did we do unpaid social media, anything? Did we do videos? Did we do, how many views are we getting on reels? I'm putting anything that we're doing. Did I send out specific marketing emails to a certain, like right now I've got some unique properties there. I'm sending out marketing emails to big batches of agents that are in different areas of the state. I'm also sending something out to agents in Chicago for a couple properties because I know there's a lot of people that come from Chicago to this certain area of the state that I've got some listings in. So I'm doing a marketing email blast to some agents in Chicago. So how many people am I reaching out to? What are those things saying, et cetera? So really just reiterating, I'm not just doing this. I didn't just put your house in the MLS. This is all the other stuff that we're doing. And then what do we have planned if none of this works? So what am I looking for next? And I also explain to sellers, listen, if our first 3 days on the market, we've got gangbusters activity and it's blowing out of the water and I'm pretty sure we're going into multiple offers, I'm not spending time and money on this stuff. Because it doesn't make sense. I'm throwing money away. And I'll tell them that. Now, if we're 7 days on the market, you're getting or 4 days on the market, you're getting the rollout of what I would call my major marketing.
Yeah.
If we're on the market 14 days, we're getting into creative zone. I'm like, how can I get people to look at this property? And I will keep working on that and keep trying to get you more and more creative. I've had land where I've done paid magazine ads. Am I doing that for a 3-bed, 2-bath in a suburb? No, So again, over time, I will get more and more creative and I will put more and more money into marketing and exposure. And I'm always setting them up for that. At the bottom, I say my thoughts and it's literally like in bold, my thoughts. And it is either we need more time. I think it's time to think about an adjustment. It's all about timing, pricing, or presentation.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, or a combination of those things. Maybe we should do this, and I think we need to look at pricing. So I have that, and then I am confirming the following weekend's open house schedule in this email as well on Monday, and then I'm saying let's connect. You can reply to this email. We can plan for a call or you can text me. Let's connect on my thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts. Usually they say, can we have the day to digest this? And I say, great. And I would say 90% of my price adjustments are a reply, yes, let's go to this number. I usually have a suggestion. In that suggestion part, that is also where I talk about getting through those buckets of activity. This is something I talk about in my listing appointment, so it's not the first time they've heard it, but I'll address where people are stopping. So we need them online. Are your online numbers strong or your online numbers really weak? We might need to do something to just get more people online to even look at your property. The second is in person. So do we have good online numbers and we're just waiting for people to come in person? Are they coming to open houses? Are they coming in showings? Open houses and showings, I would give almost equal weight in this moment in time because a lot of people are like, I didn't want to bug my agent. Most people that come through our open houses are represented.
Yeah.
And there's like, oh, my agent's out of town, or they're doing showings right now with somebody else. You know, good agents are busy. And so I give them almost, not quite the same amount of weight.
Yeah.
A little more weight to private showings. So are they doing that? And then are they writing offers? And between that is, are they making the inquiry calls? Are they calling and saying, do they have a preferred closing date? Are they calling and asking about the weird pond in the backyard? And like, what's that about? Right? Anything that we think they should be asking questions about before they're ready to put something on paper. I want those calls to be coming in. And I know in a normal quote unquote situation, if our online numbers are really weak and it's not a unique property, right? If our buyer pool is good, but no one's looking at it, or if they're in line with everything else and they're not taking that next step, which is looking in person, we're probably 10% over.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
We're off.
Yeah.
If we're getting them in the door, but nobody's making the inquiries, then we're probably 3 to 7% off. And that's going to be dependent on your competition more than anything, what's everyone else doing. If they're making the calls and they're not putting it on paper, I've had this, it's either we need a tiny adjustment to entice or we need time.
Yeah.
They just need to simmer on it, especially with higher end properties. Usually they just need a little more time. It's a big decision.
So
they
good.
need time. So I'm talking through those buckets a lot in this email as well. Where are we stalling out in that buyer activity and how do we address it?
Yeah.
Again, through pricing, presentation, or exposure.
So anybody listening right now has got to put themselves, or hopefully is putting themselves in the shoes of a seller. And like everything you just walked through, it's no wonder that at the end of that, they're like, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Yeah. They know that you've spent a lot of time looking at the information. They know that you're an expert. And, you know, for anybody listening, if you haven't been doing this, you can learn how to do this.
Well, none of this is like that special. It's just data.
It is just data. I don't think a lot of people are doing it. Maybe, hey, if you all are listening and you're doing these things, prove me wrong.
Also,
tell me I'm wrong.
Also, like I said, if you think I should add something, please share. I'm sharing my stuff with you. Share it back with me. I want to be better.
Here's the other thing. I think that there are a lot of people that are really well intended. And if you're like, this is kind of a Lone Ranger, or it can be Lone Ranger industry, there are some brokerages, maybe more so than others, that are like, I've heard, because I've been on the recruiting side, I've met with hundreds of agents. Like some brokerages tend to be really open to sharing and some brokerages are not.
Yeah.
They're like, this is my secret and it's what sets me apart.
Yeah.
So there's probably a lot of agents that would be willing and able to do this, but are like, I didn't even think of doing that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the Backend portal was there. Nobody taught me that. I didn't go to a class. How would I know that? So that's part of why we're doing this. Like we do want to raise the sort of standard in the industry, I suppose, but also empower agents to know like you can do this. And I think, I don't know why, I feel like there's like a little bit of a bee in my bonnet on this, because I think maybe it's because I feel like I'm needing to relearn a lot of things myself and learn completely new things with some of the properties I'm listing or some of the market analysis that I'm doing right now. It's new to me. It's a new set of skills. And it's not easy. It's not easy when you're like, oh, I need to prospect and I need to take care of my clients and I need to constantly be learning a new skill. But like,
welcome to the industry.
And so I don't mean to say that with a level of arrogance, like I've got it all figured out, because you can listen back to the podcast and hear all the things I don't have figured out.
Well, and also I'm juggling all that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're getting ready in Minnesota. Again, we have seasonality.
Yeah.
Usually right around the 4th of July is a slowdown. This year is feeling a little bit different. But I'm already gearing up for, listen, most of the summer, I never have to send one of these emails.
Yeah, because things just fly. Yeah.
Things are fast. Spring market here.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
I'm gearing up for late summer, fall market.
Yeah.
people need this.
Well, the other thing I'm thinking is if you you have this as an example and you say, hey, this is a property that I just closed on a month ago or however long ago, could be an example that you use indefinitely for your listing appointments. If you're ever in competition in a listing appointment and you say, this is what you can expect from me on a weekly basis, here is what sets me apart. This is how I'm looking at the data. This isn't just as easy as getting good photos and getting you exposure on the MLS. There's a lot more to it. And I wouldn't expect a seller to know that. And a lot of agents aren't doing that either. So this is something that could be easily
brilliant. I could put this.
You can put this in a listing
I
presentation.
never even thought of that.
Yeah.
I just explain it to them.
Yeah. But you could just have a one-sheeter, you know?
I'm also I bring very little to my listing appointments. As you know, I'm more of
I know.
a pull out a blank piece of paper and write stuff on it kind of girl.
Which is great if that's working for you, obviously.
Yeah, but I could do better.
Sure. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm going to do that.
Thank you. I'm going to do the same thing. You're like, Jen, let's talk about what you're doing. I'm like, I'm building the road in front of me brick by brick as I go. This is probably what I'll be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, my intention was to look at the back end data to, at the initial appointment with people, when they sign with me, I'm selecting at minimum one time a week when I'm calling them. But once a week, especially if they're new on the market, is not enough. This is if it's been sitting, I feel like twice a week potentially to have, but I mean, this
some
kind
of
a
my
report,
people, I never call.
Yeah. It's
The expectation
email.
is they're going to get this and then they call me.
That's cool.
I do text them a lot, especially I'm texting them, like I said, open house feedback right after the opens. We
So
do
you're
a
in
lot of opens. So I'm in
communication.
communication.
Yeah.
But I'm calling very few people on the phone.
Okay.
They're scheduling a time, and that's the other thing. I tell them let's schedule a time. If it's anything more than a quick, you need 3 minutes, and I'll answer if I can. Honestly, all the time. Let's plan a time that works for both of us.
That's really
to jump
good.
on a call, because I also want to be somewhere quiet, somewhere focused. I want to get you on my calendar, even if it's a call. So I'm not doing
That's
a lot of
really great expectation to also
communication.
set in a listing appointment. Be like, if you've got a quick question, text me. If we need to talk, here's my Calendly link.
Let's book it. Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing all of this.
Yeah, I want to know one other thing.
Yeah.
I didn't say it here, but we talked about this. There are different reports in showing time, depending on the property, depending on how tricky it is, how far off are you, and how far, again, I think because I overwhelm my people with data aggressively and I walk them through how to price their house. I don't tell them the price of their house.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of trouble with price adjustments either, because at the time of choosing their listing price, they chose it based on trying a strategy that we talked through together based on what the market data was saying. So it's data and then strategy. And if the strategy doesn't work, now my job is to show them potentially why. Well, your buyer pool is a lot smaller. The strategy we chose is not going to work because we don't have a big enough buyer pool to boost it. We're going to need to adjust. And usually they're like, yeah, should we do it now or next week?
Yeah.
That's more the question.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot. This takes a ton of the heavy lifting. But if I have very tricky people who are just dead set on, I need this number no matter what, I'll wait 3 years until the market catches up with me. I've had people say that before. I'm like, well, that's a really long time to be in the market. But okay. Then I'll go deeper. I'll look for what are some of those other reports in showing time. What is the average number of showings before contract in competitive listings? Are we just getting
blown
and then that helps also show where are those buyers stopping that activity. When I start talking about that, this is everything we need a buyer to do to get to an accepted purchase agreement. That opened people's eyes in a different way as well. Because where are they stopping? The earlier in the process they're stopping,
the further away we are.
The further away we are with being aligned with their expectations. It's maybe not price. It might be the yellow kitchen, right? It might be something else. It's price. It's price for the other things.
Condition,
So then how do we adjust? But it takes, like I said, it just takes a ton of the heavy lifting.
So
and I've had people say, I think it's time for a price adjustment. When I say, I think we give it another week or two, and they're like, can we do it now? We see it. And I'm like, well, and sometimes I say I'd give it another week, and that's worked, where then we get a full price offer. And I'm like, you were going to reduce actually this house.
Yeah.
We were going to do a price adjustment. I talked to them on like a Wednesday. And I said, I think in my gut, you should give it this weekend. We've had some nice calls.
Yeah.
I have a feeling something shifted. There was just like little number shifts in 1 week. They've been in the market for 3 or 4 weeks. And, but we had already pre-planned, okay, Monday or Tuesday, if we're not getting calls after the weekend and we're not getting those preemptive inquiries, we go down, and it was going to be 5% of list price,
which is significant.
And we got a full price cash offer
That's amazing.
on Sunday.
Way to also listen to your gut. And I mean, it's gut and it's like being in tune to what's happening.
I've been watching this market for
I think
6 months.
I mean, there's so many takeaways. I'd be curious to hear people's takeaways from this, but it's like, yeah, the data does the heavy lifting, but it also is them seeing again, what an expert you are. Like if you weren't let's say you were doing all of that work, but not communicating to them. And you said, you know what, I think it's time we need to reduce the price. And if I'm the seller, I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah. Why?
But just you're lazy and you're just like, this is the answer.
Yeah.
Like, and that is what some agents do. They don't have anything to back why. It probably is the answer, but like why and where and what are we hearing? And then it's not you just saying like, just trust me. It's like, what? Well, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good work.
Thanks.
Okay. Thanks for sharing.
Communicate.
Should we wrap it up here? We're almost at an hour, believe it or not.
Weird.
I know.
We can't talk for less than an hour.
I know.
Sometimes when
Plus,
I call
I'm
Jen, I'm like,
tired.
oh boy, I better get right to the point because otherwise we'll talk for an hour
forever.
about nothing.
We'll just wind around and talk about things. Yeah, I'm sleepy and I have an appointment later and I need to go home and take a nap and walk my dog. So
Okay. Well, then we better wrap it up.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, then. Well, that's all for this episode of Real Estate Done Rightish. Until next time, cheers to doing it rightish.
We'll try. I'll just do it as fast as it feels. Okay. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general knowledge and informational purposes only and do not constitute professional, legal, or financial advice. As licensed real estate agents in the state of Minnesota, we are not attorneys, financial advisors, or tax professionals, and we cannot provide advice in those areas or in regards to any agency or broker-specific topics in any other state. Any reliance you place on the information provided in this podcast is strictly at your own risk. We strongly encourage you to consult with qualified professionals for specific guidance related to your individual circumstances.
Wow! That was good. All right.